Hi everyone, this is Pablo again with a video series on weight loss, and this is video 7 covering sugar. If you haven't seen the first 6, please go back and watch them in order because they all kind of feed into the next ones. So let's get started. You would think there's not much to say about sugar because we know it's fattening, we know we should avoid it, but how much sugar are we supposed to eat? The American Heart Association recommends daily sugar consumption amounts of this. For women, no more than 25 grams. That's 6 teaspoons total for your day. For men, it's 38 grams, which is 9 teaspoons. Again, 9 teaspoons for the entire day. Now, keep in mind that this is the daily total amount of sugar you should consume from regular sugar, from fruit and vegetables, from carbohydrates such as flour, bread, wheat, pasta, anything else that we eat, from added sweeteners in our processed foods. So basically, everything that we eat should total no more than this number of teaspoons for men and women. So let's look at the list again. Avoiding table sugar and fruit makes sense. We can easily find out which vegetables have more natural sugar and avoid them too. Tomatoes, for example. So let's continue now. We know that table sugar, fruit, vegetables, carbs, and added sweeteners are bad, and we've already learned in video 5 that anything containing wheat, barley, or rice, such as bread, pasta, or cereals, gets converted to carbs, which in turn gets converted to glucose, and then gets converted to fat and stored away. So what about processed foods? Why do they have sugar, and how can we avoid them? Going back to one of the earlier videos, remember that 40 years ago, food companies started to see a trend towards no fat and low fat because the government put out recommendations. First time they'd ever done that. They put out recommendations saying we should not eat fat, we should eat low fat. So they went in and realized we can't go against that because it's not going to sell well. So they went ahead and removed fat from their products, making them the low fat, no fat. But then they had a problem when they did this. Their foods didn't taste as good. So what was their solution? They added sugar into all those foods that they had removed the fat from because the government told us that we should avoid fats, and the medical establishment picked up on that and started recommending the same thing. So they took out fat of the foods and then they added sugar to make them better tasting. So you might say, well, they couldn't have done that because there's one thing we've all consumers have always known is that sugar is bad and fattening. So it wouldn't have worked. We would have seen that they added fat. But what if instead of calling it sugar, they used more than 56 different names to hide it from you? Have you ever heard of high fructose corn syrup? How many decades passed before we knew that it was another name for sugar? Did you know that? So of the 600,000 food items sold in the country, over 80% have sugar or high corn fructose syrup added. 80% of that 600,000 has added sugar. That's 480,000 products on food shelves that have added sugar or sweeteners. Remember, sugar and other sweeteners are directly and easily converted to glucose, which then gets converted to fat. So if you think about the layout of a supermarket, typically you'll have vegetables and fruit on one side, you'll have dairy and meat sections in the back, and then or on one side or the other. But basically, the things you should eat are in the side walls and in the back. Everything that's in the middle aisles, you go through it and check every one of them. They're either really high on carbs or really high on added sugars that are hidden in many cases. So let's continue. What about fast food? An order of medium fries, let's think about this, medium fries at McDonald's contains 47 grams of carbs. Just one order. 47 grams of carbs converts to about 47 grams of sugar, which is 10 teaspoons. So remember back to what we talked. How many teaspoons? Women can eat 6 total for the day. Men can eat 9 for the day. One medium order of fries blows us both out for the entire day. So that's what about a meal like this? Large order of fries, which is what a lot of people order. Large order of fries, a Big Mac, and a large Coke. That's 66 grams of carbs, 44 grams of carbs, and 40 grams of carbs. That's equal to 30 teaspoons of sugar. Think about that. 30 teaspoons of sugar in one meal. As you'll learn in video 8 on the glycemic index coming up next, it is not enough to read a food label looking for the word sugar or avoiding carbs. We're going to learn how all that works, but this one is one of the things that you really need to stop and think about it. Because if you're eating fast food and you eat this kind of a meal, you're eating 30, pick up a jar of sugar and shove 30 teaspoons of sugar in your mouth, and think what would you feel? Would you even be able to do it? I bet you couldn't. Now imagine eating 3 meals where you eat this and maybe later on you eat a half a pizza, or maybe you will go out and eat Chinese food. I guarantee you look at those breakdowns of how many carbs those have, and those carbs being converted then to sugar, you'd be shocked at how much carbs to sugar total you actually are eating by eating this way every day. So we'll go on to the next video, video 8. So if you want to learn more about this and continue following this series, click on the subscribe button and click the little bell icon so you'll be notified when there's another video available. So we'll see you in video 8.